Hello and welcome to Business 110 Chapter 11, Marketing about Products and Pricing. So the first thing we want to talk about is something that your book calls the right principle. Basically what that means is getting the right goods or services to the right people at the right time and at the right price. So much of marketing revolves around this right principle. It's getting things where they need to be, when they need to be, at the right price. One thing I really want to make sure that you all understand is that marketing is different than sales. Marketing is all about communicating. What is the product? What is the price? What are the benefits? So sales is about selling, marketing is about communicating. Now this chapter has a lot of information in it. In previous textbooks, the information in this one chapter would usually be in 3 different chapters. So there's no way I can go over everything in the chapter. I highly recommend you read the chapters. So let's start on the marketing concept. The marketing concept means that you try to figure out the needs and wants of the consumer so the organization can distinguish its products from the competitors. So it's all about what do people want and how can I stand out. And then you need to integrate all of your organizational activities to satisfy these wants and needs. If you do not concentrate on the customer and their wants and needs, customers will go someplace else. That's just the bottom line. You have to achieve your long-term organizational goals by satisfying the customer's wants and needs. Again, if you can't do that, your customer's going someplace else. So the first thing that you have to figure out is something called customer value. And there's all kinds of different ways to consider this. The textbook example is the sacrifice a customer must do to obtain the benefits of a product or service. Let me give you a better example. Would you go to Dollar Tree to buy a child that you absolutely adore and love a Christmas present? You probably would not, because you don't consider that a value. You have a screaming toddler in the back seat and they want a toy to play with. Are you going to run into Dollar Tree and get them a toy? You probably are. So see, value is very different depending on the circumstances. A toy from Dollar Tree is probably not going to last more than a day or so, depending on how rough the child plays with it. But at a particular time, it may satisfy customer value. Now, customer satisfaction is different than customer value. Customer satisfaction is, did the product exceed expectations so that the customer is satisfied? So let's go back to value. You're running into Dollar Tree to get $1 and 25 cents now, toy for the screaming toddler in the back seat. You're satisfied if it lasts until you get home, right? But if you were buying that as a Christmas gift, you would be highly dissatisfied if it broke within the first hour of Christmas morning. So you see the relationship between value and satisfaction. And what almost every marketer wants to do is create a relationship, something called relationship marketing, where you long-term partnerships with customers. A lot of marketers are doing this now with rewards programs. If you were to look on my cell phone, I have all kinds of apps for different places that have rewards programs so that I can get points and use them. When they give you points, you're developing a relationship. So when I was going to school, I learned the 4 P's of marketing. Now your textbook puts a 5th one in there. I learned product, price, place, promotion. And your book adds people or employees. So there is probably some truth in that. I really want you to know product, price, place, and promotion, and we're going to go over that. So how do we decide what customers want? So we do something called environmental scanning, where we're looking for data to identify trends, future opportunities, what's happening in the world that we can take advantage of is really what we're looking for. And this data comes in 6 categories: cultural, what's going on in the world; demographics, baby boomers. You might know that there's been a steady decline in American birth rates, so marketers need to know that information. Economic, we just had a time of inflation. That goes into trends to know what marketers want. Technological, we are entering an age of artificial intelligence. How can marketers take advantage of that? Political, what's happening in our political world? And competitive, what are your competitors doing? So those are the 6 ways that we can scan the environment to get cues on what's happening and what we think consumers want. Once we get all of that, we develop something called a target market, which is a specific group that you want to target for your specific product. Your target market may be broad, it may be small, but you use all of that environmental scanning information to be able to target a market that you want to buy. So let me just give you an example. I'm over 60 years old and I've never had children. Do you think that Pampers is going to market me? And the answer is no, they're not. I've never had children, so I don't have grandchildren. So I'm not the target market for Pampers, but young mothers and fathers are. So what marketers try to do is create something called a competitive advantage. Why would customers buy from us? What is our advantage over all the other people that are selling this particular item? And there's 4 ways. You can have a cost advantage, but I caution that a cost advantage, those people that buy just on the basis of cost will not be loyal to you. So you can be the cheapest, but as soon as somebody else comes in cheaper, you're going to lose those customers. Differential basically means brand names. So there's Tide, right? You hear of Tide. You hear of different brand names. And you have a competitive advantage based on what consumers think of that brand name. So I use the example of Chevrolet versus Maserati. Both of those particular vehicles are going to get you to your destination. Chevrolet has a completely different brand, and you think of different things than you do of Maserati. So that's what we mean by differential. Another way that you can have a competitive advantage is by service. Grocery stores are taking advantage of this, where you can go online, order your groceries, and then they'll give you a time, and you go and park in the parking lot, and they wheel the groceries out to you. That way you don't have to spend your time going through the aisles. So that's an advantage. That's a competitive advantage in the service they provide. And then you can have a niche advantage. Your textbook talks about a bank that is in Atlanta that takes advantage of the hip hop scene there. So that's a niche advantage. So for your marketing mix, and this is where the 4Ps come in: product strategy, pricing strategy, your place, and your promotion. So product strategy: what's your brand name? What's your packaging? What's your warranty? Your pricing strategy: is it too high or too low? Too low prices may affect you just as much as too high. How is your product going from when you produce it all the way to the consumer? What are your middlemen? And what are you using to promote it? Are you using advertising, social media, personal selling, testimonials? How are you promoting your product? Your book talks about buyer behavior, and Exhibit 11.4 does a great job of explaining it, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I do want to talk about how you can segment your market. You can segment your market by demographics. I've already talked about this. I'm a 60-year-old, over 60. You can segment your market by young or old. Geographic. You see this a lot in food. The people out west eat differently than the people down south. Psychographic. This is a little bit difficult to explain, but are you going to go into, let's say, Seattle, Washington, and try to sell a gun? Probably not, because that's not a gun country. Yeah. What is the benefit, and how much do you buy? So, for example, I live on Diet Coke. I am very much a volume Diet Coke drinker. So if marketers knew that, they would segment their market to people who bought Diet Coke a lot versus someone that may only buy a soda when they go out to dinner. Consumer products, also something that you need to know. Convenience, shopping, specialty, and unsought. Convenience, that's your soda, your candy bar. You don't do a lot of thinking about that. Shopping, those are the things that you actually shop. You may even do a lot of research on this. Buying a car, buying a washing machine. Specialty products are things that, the best example I can get is a paint gun. I think that's still a thing. That's a very special product, and not many people would be buying that, but they're still being sold. And then an unsought product. The best example I can give is a cemetery plot. You didn't wake up this morning deciding to buy a burial or cemetery plot. So those are unsought items, but they're still marketed. Product development, again, don't have a lot of time. Exhibit 11-6 you can look at. Product life cycle. You know this just by logistics, but a product is introduced, then it grows, then it matures, and then it either declines or dies. The pricing may be different based upon whatever life cycle it's in. So let's get to pricing. Price skimming. That's when you come in with a high price and then you lower it. Penetration pricing is when you come in with a low price but hope for high volume. Leader pricing is when you actually offer a product below cost to attract customers. A lot of times at the end of grocery aisles, when soda is on sale, they may be selling it for less than what the grocery store paid for it, but that's just to attract customers. Bundling. Well, service pricing, it depends on the service and the client. Bundling, you buy shampoo and it's bundled with a conditioner. Psychological. You use odd numbers for bargains and even numbers to denote quality. And then prestige pricing is when you price something high because that's what consumers expect. I want to spend just a second on odd even. When you see an odd price, like $14.95, in our brain, we automatically think that that's a bargain. So that's what they mean by psychological pricing. So I hope this helps. Thanks.